Hey there, and welcome to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes here with David Levitt, president and founder of Refresh Computer Superstore, and technician Adam Littlefield. And you can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. Or if you have a comment during the show, we'd love to hear it. Use that open mic feature inside the WDBO app. You can also check out the website over at refreshcomputers.net or stop in at the Refresh Computer Superstore in Longwood at 820 East State Road 434, just 3.5 miles east of I-4 in Longwood. Store hours are Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And if you're listening to the show here on Saturday, I mean, you still have time to stop by. They'll be open until 7 p.m. today. And now, for the men themselves, David Levitt and Adam Littlefield.
All right. Thanks, Greg. And thanks, everybody, for listening to another edition of Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. Well, we are here on a Saturday, and, we have a fresh show also tomorrow, Sunday morning from 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. And, you can listen to any of these shows that we're doing on WDBO now in podcast version by going to our website at refreshcomputers.net. Click on that podcast link in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll be able to hear this show and, several shows going back a few years now.
Tons of them, and you get to see kind of how everything's been growing over the last years,
That's right. That's right. You can actually, the history of tech right there on the podcast page at refreshcomputers.net that you'll be able to check out. That's pretty cool. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about how streaming is becoming the new cable, and you're paying for it. And we're going to talk about some summer tech refresh tips for you. And then we'll be talking about Apple's coming out with a new foldable phone. They're actually doing it.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So might be exciting for a lot of people. Not really for me. I don't know. But, they're doing it because Samsung has a foldable, right? They've had one for a few years now, and Apple's finally getting into the foldable phone game. Boy, we've come full circle now.
We have.
So, the new flip phone, right? And then we'll finish the show today with some Windows 11 tips for you, some things you may not know about in your Windows 11 computer, and something that might help you with whatever you're doing with your Windows, with your computer. So let's get into how streaming is becoming the new cable. So the cable TV comparison, the streaming is the big one, right? So remember why everyone cut cable? I remember when I cut the cable, right? It was too expensive, and you can just pick and choose what you wanted and pay less.
Yeah.
Right. So you just so many channels on cable. I'll get that right. That it was just really. I always thought that was just kind of ignorant. 200 channels, they were
just
like
for channel surfing at that point, right?
Yeah. And there was a lot of, life changes a lot of people made around cable because, you want to catch your show. It's only available, at this certain time. You can either watch it and set aside a block of your schedule, or, even some cable companies were offering recording of television shows.
Yes, that's right. Well, that was a big thing.
It was.
Right. And so now I think, streaming as opposed to cable TV. So basically what we're talking about streaming is that you have an internet connection and you're picking whatever you want to watch, Netflix, whatever. And with cable, you just got whatever they presented to you on cable, right?
The best comparison I can think of cable to the streaming services is the on-demand options you always had with cable. Is you could pay a little extra for, additional channels to watch on demand. It's kind of what streaming's like.
Kind of like that. Yeah. So I think, right now, even CNBC is calling it like streaming cables, streamings is, cable TV tipping point. So it's, in other words, it's getting to the point where now streaming is getting like, people are cutting the streaming cord, right? As opposed to cutting the cable cord, and at least cutting down on the streaming cord, because, you look at all the things that are going on, like Netflix just raised its standard ad-free plan to $20 a month, right? $19.99. And that's the second price in just over a year. I mean, just a year. They've increased their price twice. Disney Plus has more than doubled its original price since they launched Disney Plus. So a lot's going on there. Spotify, Max, HBO Max, Hulu, they've all gone up in 2026. So your streaming bill is starting to look a lot like the cable bill you cut to get away from this.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's a big problem, at least to me, with streaming services is there's one show maybe you want to watch and it's only available on Netflix. It's exclusive to Netflix. So you got to pay for that.
Right.
But then you also want to watch a show that's only on Hulu. So you got to pay for that as well. You know, there's a lot of exclusivity now coming out with streaming services where you almost have to have all of them to get the shows you want.
Well, and that's true. But, you know, right now, there's still no annual plan requirement.
Right.
But watch, mark my word, that is going to be the future of streaming. Because why? Because you see something on Netflix, or maybe there's a new show on Netflix and you're not subscribed to Netflix. So what do? You just subscribe to Netflix till you're done watching the show.
Right.
You know? And so $20, oh, maybe that's a cheap price to pay to be able to watch this whole series that you heard all about.
All right, and it used to be that for a lot of those new series on these streaming services, they would come out with the entire show all at once, and then you could cancel your subscription, like you're saying.
No.
They finally caught on as to why television channels had all of these different episodes, and you had to come in next Sunday to see what happened to Who Shot JR coming up next week. It was because they needed people to come back and watch.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And these streaming services finally figured that out. You could look back at like the most recent season of Stranger Things on Netflix as an example.
And I think 2020 really shined a light on that because a lot of people staying at home were binge watching tons of shows. You could get through a whole season of a show in a day if you were dedicated enough.
Oh, I was.
So I was too. But now,
definitely.
you know, being how it is with streaming services releasing them like normal television shows, it pulls a lot back to the normality of what we had with cable.
So I wasn't familiar with Netflix actually doing that. So they're making you wait now, right? Is that more than just Stranger Things? Or is
Yeah,
that other
so
shows
a lot of
also?
their new shows, they'll have a weekly episode that comes out. If you go on HBO Max, they did the same thing with The Pit. That was how they had it set up, was a weekly episode came out. And it's to maintain that subscriber base because that's what all these stock investors are looking at is how big is your base and how long does it stay that big?
Yeah.
So that's to prevent you from doing what I was suggesting maybe you could do, right?
And-
Sign up for it, watch your show, cancel it.
And even more I've noticed actually now is a lot of television shows that are coming out on streaming services. They are doing about, 8 to 10 episodes a season. And that is, almost guaranteed 2 to 3 months of subscriptions because it's only once a week you're getting an episode.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. Well, it's not just Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Who raised prices in 2026? Disney Plus / Hulu, right?
/ ESPN / whatever else they've bought.
Right.
That's right. Well, it costs twice as much as it did when it launched, like we already mentioned. Spotify Premium went from $12 to $13 this past February. Max, or HBO Max, went from, they're $18.50 for standard or $22.99 for premium now. I don't know what the difference is. You guys know? I have no idea. I mean, because I don't think HBO has advertising.
Not that I'm aware of.
I think it may be for like higher definition streaming, I could imagine. Maybe,
Could be. Maybe.
HD is your standard and 4K would be premium.
Could be.
And we have Amazon Prime Video, went from $9. They have $9 with ads and $14 without ads. And just so you know, the average U.S. household now spends about $69 a month just on streaming. Yeah. So that's a reason why I think people are starting to cut back on streaming.
I agree. And there's a lot of these streaming services that are starting to offer even bundles where you pay, a little bit more every month for, say, I think Disney Plus, Hulu, and I think HBO Max is about $33 a month.
Right.
So you save a little bit bundling it, but do you really need 3 streaming services just to save a little bit of that money is the big question.
Well, and another question is, why are the prices going up? Why are they going up? And basically what analysts are saying is, grab market share at any cost. That era is over. So streaming companies now actually need to think about making money. Yep. That goes back to your point, Greg, about, you can't just sign up for Netflix now to watch a series because you can see the whole thing and binge watch it. Mm-hmm. They're now making you wait. So you have to at least subscribe for a few months to get through a series on Netflix now. So, and they also spent billions of dollars on content to do what? To lure subscribers.
Right.
So, and now they're collecting on that, right? So the ad-supported model is changing the math also. So a viewer watching like over 40 hours a month on the $9 plan can generate more revenue than the $20 subscriber.
Right.
So
I've
think
noticed
about
something
that.
too with the ad-supported streaming services, and even ones where you're paying for premium without ads, is if you have like an ad blocker extension on
Right.
your browser. Me personally, I have one on my browser, and I have streaming services that don't have ads. Whenever I go to those websites and I open a show, it's just a black screen.
Yeah, I can't
it
imagine
will
they
not
enjoy that.
load. Even though I don't get ads already,
That's a good
I
point.
have to disable my ad blocker to even be able to use their website.
So they won't even let you. So ad blockers are out.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're trying to use the internet to watch your computer,
Yeah.
basically to watch shows. Wow, that's a good point. I didn't realize that. So what's the translation here? Is they want you on the cheaper plans with ads.
Right.
They really do, because
It
they
makes
make a
them more
lot
money.
more money that way. So, and it's becoming much more profitable for them in that model. So what should listeners actually do? Right.
Right.
Audit your subscriptions right now. I mean, you probably hear people advertising about, oh, we can help you save on your subscriptions you may not know you have. So, a lot of people are paying for services they forgot about. They just forgot about that they had them, and it gets automatically charged every month, and it's just such a nominal fee. It's not noticeable.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is once you kind of do the math on it and you see it's coming around to that $70 a month price point, then it's a little bit more noticeable. But $8.99 here, $12.99 there, it's easy to just look past that.
It is. And so what I'm going to suggest is that just about every credit card company on the planet has text notifications whenever your card is used. So go ahead and log into your credit card online and check the text notifications box that they have there to notify you of any charges that are occurring on your credit card if you're not already doing that. That way you'll get the little reminder, $8.99 for Netflix or whatever it was, right? And then you'll see that, what it was for, and then that will be your reminder. Oh, wait a minute, I got to get rid of that. Otherwise, if you don't have the text reminders, it's just happening. And it's such a small amount relative to everything else that you don't notice.
Yeah.
So
And that's what they're hoping you do. That's honestly what they're hoping for, is you forget about this,
They
and you
do.
just keep on letting it increase in price, and until you realize all of a sudden that $5.99 subscription you had is $29.99.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it creeps up over time, and and they're so they can, I guess, for every if it creeps up 20%, I don't know what the math is, but if a certain amount of people
Right.
cancel, but not enough to make the difference, they're still making more money,
Right.
Yep.
because of all the people who didn't notice the difference. So, and we already said that the ad tiers, the subscription services that include ads, make a lot more money for the streaming services than the ones that don't, even though they charge more for the ones that don't, because they make a lot more money off the ads. But if you can stomach the ads, maybe switch to the ad version, so like Netflix, $9 instead of $20 a month.
Even though the streaming service is making more money off of the ad-supported tier, it's not coming out of your wallet.
And bundle deals too. Now, a lot of cell phone carriers, I know mine, T-Mobile, I get Netflix for free.
I get HBO.
Yep.
See, with my plan. And so make sure you check with your cell phone company if you're not already getting something like that through them. Verizon also offers services, streaming services for free, and check with them.
Yeah, you're already paying for it.
You're already paying for it.
Yep.
Yeah, whether you like it or not. Hey, another thing I love about T-Mobile is I get MLB.
That's a
I love
great
baseball.
Hey,
I
it's
love
perfect
Major
for
League
you.
Baseball, and that saves me about, I think it's it's $140 a year now. It's over $100 a year for the MLB package, and I get it for free.
And that's the upcoming Wild Wild West, right?
That's right.
The live sports packages that are now, you're seeing it going through the courts right now, where all these where the different leagues are being brought to court for violations of their antitrust laws, because they're going away from the traditional broadcast and trying to get onto these streaming platforms because there's money to be made.
That's right. Absolutely, there is. So you see more and more advertisers going on these streaming services that you never saw on streaming services before, because that wasn't the norm. But hey, it quickly has become.
Well, summertime is here, and we're going to talk about coming up next why now is the best time to buy a refurbished computer from Refresh Computers. You've been listening to Tech Talk right here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Hey there, and welcome back to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's News and Talk. I'm Greg Rhodes here with David Levitt, president and founder of Refresh Computer Superstore, and technician Adam Littlefield. And you can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. Or if you wanted to leave a comment, maybe about some of your favorite streaming services, let us know. Use that open mic feature inside the WDBO app. And now, back to David and Adam.
All right. Thanks, Greg. And thanks, everybody, for listening to Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. And, in the previous episode, if you missed any of it, we talked about streaming services like Greg just mentioned. And, all the changes going on just in the past, several months. In 2026, all their prices went up. It's like almost all of them just went up. And so if you missed any of that, want to catch up, go to refreshcomputers.net, click on that podcast link, and you'll be able to hear all about that. So in this segment, though, we want to talk about, why right now is the best time to buy a refurbished computer. So, summer's here, right? So soon the back-to-school rush is going to be coming.
Yeah.
Kids heading to college and so on. New computers are expensive. Most people don't even need the latest and greatest. You just don't need it because today's machines, the refurbished computers, refresh computers, you get what I always say is better than the new computer. So you can buy a brand new computer. You have a box you got to get rid of. You get all that bloatware that's on there, and that computer lasts you 4, 5, 6, 7 years maybe. You buy a computer at Refresh Computers, 70% of the cost of a new one, and that computer is going to last you 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yep.
So still, and it'll do the same things that you are buying that brand new computer for. So why not? So what does refurbished actually mean? So it's at Refresh Computers, I like to think more like it's remanufactured as opposed to refurbished because it's professionally clean, tested, and certified by our own techs that it is going to last you a long time. Now, we put new thermal paste on the CPU, and that's a very important aspect that, other quote unquote refurbishers overlook, or they just don't bother.
They think it's good enough and that's it, but not us.
Yes, but that is like probably one of the most important things that somebody can do to refurbish a computer is to put new thermal paste on the CPU. It's going to prevent it from overheating in the future, and it's just the thing to do. And it takes a little bit of time, which is why a lot of refurbishers overlook that, but not at Refresh Computers. Brand new CMOS battery on the motherboards, right?
Yep.
So we put brand new CMOS battery. That's the clock battery, very important. You get a computer that's getting along in age and it starts to blue screen on you and stuff like that. Well, a lot of times it's because that CMOS battery is dead.
Yeah. Most people don't even know that the computers have that little CMOS battery in them.
I mean, and it's such an inexpensive thing for us to do.
Yeah.
And it takes just a minute to replace the CMOS battery because we already have everything wide open anyway while we're refurbishing the computer. So for the price of, it's so inexpensive for these CMOS batteries, might as well just put a new one in every computer. And that's what we do. We don't even bother testing the other battery. We just take it out, right? Recycle it and put the new CMOS battery in there and you're good to go. So at Refresh Computers in Longwood, every machine goes through a full inspection, not once, not twice, but actually 3 times, right?
Right.
So we have several different layers, if you think of an assembly line, and how these things are done. And in each segment, they are tested and then tested again and then tested one last time before they go out on the floor for sale.
And these are business class models too.
Business class.
So they are the best machines that, big manufacturers like Dell, HP, Lenovo make. They're the good ones.
And you get free shipping right now on orders over $300.
Yeah.
We had several orders this past week. I had to get. I mean, we just started the free shipping, and so they online the purchaser purchased a $299.99 computer, and they added a $2 cable.
Yep.
And which is great. I loved it. I thought, okay, that's what I would do.
That's the point of it.
That's exactly what I would have done. They got the free shipping. So go to refreshcomputers.net, and there's a banner up there on the page right now about free shipping. You can click on it. It shows all the details about that.
Coming up, we're going to talk about Apple's new foldable iPhone. Is it going to be worth the sticker shock? We'll talk about it coming up next here on Tech Talk on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Welcome to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes here with David Levitt, president and founder of Refresh Computer Superstore, and technician Adam Littlefield. You can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. Or if you have an open mic you'd like to leave, go ahead and leave that inside the WDBO app. You can also check out the website over at refreshcomputers.net or stop in at the Refresh Computer Superstore in Longwood at 820 East State Road 434, just 3.5 miles east of I-4 in Longwood. Store hours are Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you're listening to the show here on Saturday, it means you still have time to stop by. They'll be open until 7 p.m. today. And now, back to David and Adam.
All right. Thanks, Greg. And thanks, everybody, for listening to Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. If you want to recap anything that we talk about on today's show, you can go to refreshcomputers.net, click on that podcast link, and you can hear the show in its entirety. Better yet, scroll down to the bottom of the page, any page at refreshcomputers.net. At the very bottom of the page, there's a place to put your email address. That's all we ask for. We don't ask for your name, your phone number. We don't ask for any of that stuff. Just your email address. And what that will do is subscribe you to emails that will alert you whenever a new show is ready to be listened to. And another thing that it will do is once a week or so, we send you a email letting you know all the great deals going on at Refresh Computers, maybe some new additions that we just got in at the store. Those emails will show that. And, and you are the only ones that get that, the people that subscribe to these emails. So at the bottom of any page at refreshcomputers.net, just put your email address in there, click the OK, and then boom, you're signed up just like that. So, Adam, I know you love this story because you have a foldable phone, right?
I used to have a foldable phone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Don't tell me it broke.
I tried out the.
They don't fold anymore.
I tried out the Galaxy Z Fold 3 when that released many years ago. Now it feels like
3 or 4 years ago,
something like that. It feels like a long time now, but yeah, I haven't gone back to the foldable phone, but I still do like them.
Okay, so why did you give up your foldable phone before we get into this Apple foldable phone? I want to know why.
Honestly, the practicality of it. I have a S26 Ultra now. I like the larger screen on the main display. The main thing I did not like about the foldable phone was that candy bar design. Very skinny but taller design on the main display.
Oh, really?
It's mostly what I ever used, but I was also scared of ever using the inner screen.
Okay, so I think I may have seen it, but I don't remember because I don't even remember which way it folds.
It was like a book, like a book style.
Like a book.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's why you said the candy bar, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
it's very skinny and thin, and when you open it, it's like a little book, almost like a mini tablet I kept in my pocket.
See, I'm thinking it was folding the other way.
Yeah, that's the flip one, and that's entirely a different device. And
But they're making those.
They are making those, yeah.
Samsung is.
Samsung is, yep.
Wow.
I think Pixel has one too now, right?
I think so, yeah. Google's getting into that game as well.
Cool. So Apple's catching up.
Yep. As they do normally in the phonescape.
Yeah, it's funny how they were like the innovators, and now they seem to always be the ones catching up on things, right? And they do innovate on some things still.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They were the ones that
Helps
coined...
be the top dog.
Right.
Yeah, they coined the MagSafe option, and Dave, you can see it on my phone. I have a MagSafe case because I like that function that Samsung just hasn't integrated into their phones fully.
I have one on my case.
Exactly.
I have actually a charging case on my iPhone, and that charging case has a MagSafe charger on it, so it's pretty cool. So what's going on with this new Apple foldable phone? So, the price of these things, I guess, is the first thing that sticks out for me. Between $1,800 and $2,500 is the rumor.
$2,500.
$2,500 for a phone. I remember not too many years ago helping my nephew buy a car. I think we found one for him for like $2,500. So I don't know.
But did it have an iPhone in it?
That's a good question.
And so anyway, so they are expected to launch it. So it's not, they haven't made it really official yet, but pretty much everybody knows it's happening this fall.
Right.
Likely in September, because that's when Apple will showcase their new iPhone 18 lineup, right? The newest regular iPhone, but leaks are everywhere. So, and supposedly production's already started, and the tech world is buzzing.
Yeah. The main thing I always see with phone leaks that always happens is the companies that design phone cases for them. They list them on their website before the phone's even announced.
OtterBox will have the first announcement.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's a good point. Yeah. And how did they find out, right?
Exactly.
And, and I think a lot of that is marketing also on the part of Apple. So where we think that, they're kind of, I think they're just kind of teasing it a little bit right now.
Quote unquote leak is actually very well calculated.
Yes, a very calculated leak by Apple. So what is the iPhone Fold, I guess, or is it going to be called the iPhone Ultra?
I would like the name iPhone Ultra. I think that would, make it a little more distinct from the other companies that are doing folds, because you've got the Galaxy Z Fold, the Pixel Fold. Apple going with the same naming scheme, I can't see them.
Do you know how big their screens are on
the Z Fold? I'm not sure how big the screen is on the newest one. At least I know my old Z Fold 3 was around like 6.5, I think, inches diagonally.
Because these new iPhone folding phones are supposed to be like 7.8 inches. Yeah, right. That's the inner display when it opens. So that's a big phone.
Yeah, it's still smaller than most iPads that Apple has released, but I mean, again, when you think about it, you fold it in and put it in your pocket. It's normal size of a phone, or maybe a little bit larger. But when you take it out, you've got an iPad in your hands all of a sudden.
So here we go. When Apple enters a new category like they're doing now, it usually goes mainstream, right?
Right.
Pretty quick. Because there's still this rabid fan base that Apple has with their iPhones. People just have to have the latest and greatest, and that's not. I don't think it's prevalent or as strong as it used to be years ago, right? Where people would line up outside Apple stores,
right,
around the block, to buy the latest iPhone. Because I haven't heard about that happening in a few years at least.
Right, yeah, definitely a different consumer marketplace for sure.
Yeah, most carriers now, actually, you can get the newest shipped to your door, saying like the day it releases. I've even seen some carriers accidentally, put some air quotes there, ship it early, and you get the new model a day or two before it releases.
So I don't know if you're thinking about buying one. Should you buy one? For me, it's like the first hardware release of anything. Yeah. Wait till version 2.
And I was going to say, we did a show once before talking about, being the beta tester for software and getting the first foldable phone that Apple puts out. You are putting yourself on the front lines to be the beta tester of how that phone's going to hold up. And, going back to the Z Fold 3 I got that on the buzz of it being the greatest and newest phone that Samsung made. And I really started seeing all of the defects that this phone started having. After I opened it, a couple thousand times, there was a crease that started forming in the middle of the screen that I just could not see, And to somebody like me, that really bugged me.
I'd see, and that's why I can't have one.
Yeah, I
don't want to see that crease.
I think Apple is doing it right because they've let everybody else be the guinea pig.
Right.
Everybody else, they've figured out all this, and from what I'm looking up, from what I'm seeing, Samsung will be building these displays for Apple.
Yeah.
For this Fold.
Because they figured it out.
They've already figured it out. So I think the hardware side of it maybe not as big of an issue. I think it's going to be the software side of it because changing over to that folding screen and things like that, there were a lot of bugs when those first Samsungs came out when you would try and change orientations and go to different screens. Yeah. I think that'll be the bigger problem for Apple for this first round.
And app support too is another thing. Yeah. I had issues on my old foldable that, I would try to open up even Google Chrome on the main display. I'd open up the phone, Google Chrome would crash. And I go to open it up and it would crash again. So, it's little things like that you would have to deal with, and paying, $2,000 for a phone, over $2,000 for a phone.
Maybe 25.
Yeah, it's there's
you
the
gotta
sticker
really
shock.
want it.
There's more shock.
Sorry. I don't want a phone that bad. I just don't. I still have my iPhone 13.
Right.
It still does me very well. So anyway, and also I don't know about the Florida humidity. Do you think that might have anything to do with maybe considering waiting a little bit to see if they actually engineered the thing correctly?
Right. Because
it folds. it has a hinge, obviously, because it folds. And so I'm just wondering if the heat in your old Samsung, were you able to leave it outside in the heat and not worry about it?
I had no problems with the heat being outside with it, but I will tell you, and this is a major thing for the state of Florida, because if anybody living in the state of Florida knows how our dirt is and the sandy beaches.
It's sand everywhere.
If you
I wasn't near the beach today at all.
Exactly.
There was sand everywhere.
If you get just a little bit into the hinge of that phone, you will never hear the end of it. And I mean that literally. The phone will crunch and it will gravel as you open and close it. And that's not something that you can easily disassemble and clean out the hinge. It is a nightmare for getting into those phones. They don't even give them a dust rating. They give them a very, very minimal water rating, but there is no dust rating to these phones because that hinge, like you were saying, Dave, is a major, major like vulnerability to them.
I would think so. And, so I don't know. The other thing I thought about is, if you drop it.
Yeah.
So you get out of your car at the grocery store, oops, and it falls down on the asphalt or the concrete. I haven't read anything yet about how durable they could be, like in a drop test.
And that's something that has always deterred me away from Apple devices. Is it's always been so expensive to repair the back glass on an iPhone, and now more than ever because they've engineered the back glass into the chassis of the phone.
Right.
So if you have to replace that back glass, you're basically just replacing the whole phone at that point.
It's crazy.
So this folding phone, it's adding more dollar signs, I guess, to the risk of it slipping out of your lap. And I've even had an iPhone fall on the carpet before, and I've seen it just shatter into a million pieces.
Well, Apple, like everybody else, has to stay relevant, right? So they have to come out with the latest and greatest of whatever they're making, and in some cases, brand new things that they thought of to make,
Right.
And I think of the Apple Watch, right, when it came out, that was innovative.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't wear a watch. I never wore a watch, and it's just uncomfortable to me. But I see where people that do have the Apple Watch, they love it, and it works pretty cool. It's a pretty cool device. So Apple's very innovative in that way. And in this case, I think with the foldable phone, they're more in catch-up mode. Since the other companies are already, have been producing foldable phones for a while now.
And I mean, here's the one thought I have, and I got to play devil's advocate with it because I always love new tech, right?
Yeah.
Is if you're somebody that already is in the Apple environment and you carry around your iPhone, you keep your MacBook in your bag, you carry around your iPad, it doesn't hurt to combine two of those devices into one, the iPhone and the iPad. Yep. You're saving a little bit of what you're carrying around in your bag.
That's kind of what you're getting with the foldable phone.
Exactly.
Right? So you're getting like 2 in 1.
Yeah.
And so maybe you can use that to justify paying $2,000. I don't know, but I just wouldn't do it myself.
I remember when they first came out with these foldable phones, they were so thick.
Right.
It was so uncomfortably thick, but the screen technology has come so far since then. They're not much thicker than a typical phone. And if you look back a couple of years, it's not going to be much thick. It's not going to be much, if any, thicker than your iPhone 13 that you've got in your pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the thing is the Z Fold 3, Dave, looking at your phone with the charger case on it, closed. That's about how thick the phone used to be. Oh, wow. So it was a lot to carry in my pocket, especially coming from a smaller, I believe, an Apple device I had at the time.
Yeah.
So it's a big change, but you got to be really, really aware of what you're buying at that point because, again, there's going to be software bugs. It's going to happen. That always happens when a new device is released into the wild.
Well, yeah, true. So I would personally, if it was me, I would hold off.
I
mean, I have an iPhone. Like I said, iPhone 13. I've held off for the last several years to upgrade because mine's still working just fine. So, and I use it primarily for talking to people and texting.
Right.
And looking up some stuff every once in a while.
That hasn't innovated much past that, Dave, I promise you.
And so what's the big deal? So, and as a closing point on this, Apple is expecting to sell 10 million of these. The people who already have a perfectly good iPhone 16.
Yeah.
So
I think it'll be interesting to see them announce this with the iPhone 18 because you're going to have probably the iPhone 18 Pro Max. I would imagine they'll make one of those, and then you're going to have it right next to the iPhone Fold or iPhone Ultra, whatever they call it. As a consumer of Apple products, I don't really know which way you're going to want to lean.
You'll need bigger pockets.
Exactly.
That's the way that you'll lean for sure is bigger pockets. So what do you think about these new iPhones? Let us know. Use that open mic feature inside the WDBO app. But coming up, Florida building a highway that can charge your car while you drive. Yeah, we're living in the future. We'll talk about it more coming up next on Tech Talk on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Hey there, and welcome back to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. I'm Greg Rhodes here with David Levitt, president and founder of Refresh Computer Superstore, and technician Adam Littlefield. And you can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. You can also check out the website over at refreshcomputers.net. And now, back to David and Adam.
All right. Thanks, Greg. And thanks, everybody, for listening to Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. In the last segment, we talked about Apple coming out. They really are coming out with their new foldable iPhone. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see coming this September. And we talked about a whole bunch of things about their features of the new iPhone, compared it to some Samsung foldable phones and things like that. If you missed any of that and you want to catch up, go to refreshcomputers.net, click on the podcast link, and listen to the show in its entirety. And you can scroll down to the bottom of the page, put in your email address, and then we will notify you when this show and other shows are ready to be listened to. So in this segment, we're going to talk about, Florida's actually building a highway that charges your car now.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a real thing that's happening. And so, all that gas tax money that you pay for people who drive gasoline-powered cars, we're paying to have people's battery-powered cars charged. I guess is one way I look at it anyway. And so, the technology is cool. I like the idea of it. I really do. Mm-hmm. The thing is that the highway's only 4.4 miles. So if you're doing 60 miles an hour, how much charge are you going to get in 4 miles?
I'll tell you, for 4 minutes of charging, and I was reading that they're wanting for it to have up to 200 kilowatts of charging power. 4 minutes, my experience with like a Tesla supercharger, that can get you maybe 20 or 30 miles. I would say a substantial amount, but at the same time, what's the cost offset going to be of using this rather than just a charging stop?
So you got to think that 4.5 mile, 4.4 mile technically road built just for, that's going to have the charging capabilities, right? It's a new toll road, right? So it's going to have, but it's got to be more experimental or more just, hey, prove that we can do this.
Right.
Because practicality, it's not practical.
Yeah,
it's not. 4 miles is not practical.
I think this is the prove it stage.
The proving stage that it can be done. And
I remember something like this was, something only me as a kid could dream of ever being in the world. And, now we're going to have a proof of concept. But I think this, little short 4.5 mile span, like you guys are saying, it's going to be the proof. Is it useful?
Right.
Is it necessary? Is it worth it?
And, and the cost of it, I'm not sure how much the whole thing is going to cost, but I would imagine a lot.
Yeah.
I think the whole project's supposed to be around $500 million for 4.4 mile stretch of highway. That's a lot of money. But you know what? Better 4.4 stretch of highway to get all the bugs worked out.
Yep. Yeah.
Because there's going to be bugs. It's technology, before they start rolling it out, along the entire Florida Turnpike or something. And I even wonder, you have a Tesla, Adam, is your car even compatible? Probably not.
It's not, but I know Tesla's working on, making this technology available, especially for the Cybercabs that they're making. And I can imagine they'll make some sort of retrofit for their other models to add it. But, again, we're getting into the what if scenario. And as any auto manufacturer, they don't have to do that. That's not required by law for them to add retrofits for cars to do that.
Yeah. So, hey, listen, we're almost out of time. I want to talk about this Windows tip that we want to give everybody.
Yes.
The May 2026 update in Windows that just came out. It's taking longer than usual to do an update on your computer. So be sure to leave it running.
Yes.
It's often repairing itself, right, in the background as it's running, and that's why it's taking so long. Don't force restarting these things, or you're going to be visiting us probably at Refresh Computers to get your corrupt Windows update repaired, because we see that a lot, don't we, Adam?
Yeah, I've seen it get frozen at 99%, and all you have to do is restart your computer, and that's it. Something blows up, and you got to come see us to get it fixed up again.
So listen, folks, if you missed anything on today's show, please go to refreshcomputers.net. click on that podcast link up there at the top of the page, and you'll be able to hear the show in its entirety. That's all we have time for today. We'll be talking to you again tomorrow,
Yep.
Sunday.
For a whole new show.
For a whole new show.